Let's expand the conversation. Research Director in the HSRC's Developmental, Capable and Ethical State Research Division, Dr. Yul Derek Davids, joins us for more. Very good evening to you, Dr. Davids. Thank you for your time. We know that the Electoral Commission has been exploring the topic of e-voting for quite some time now. What do you make of some of the findings and the research that has been conducted over the years?
Let me just backtrack for a while. We've done a study in 2023, and we follow up the study last year in 2024. Overall, one needs to indicate that the study this year has included a public opinion survey of more than 5,000 people. And we've also done a large-scale literature review, as well as talking to key experts and roundtable discussions with academics and people like Blind SA. But when we put all those data together, and particularly the public opinion survey indicated to us that people are still not really knowledgeable about e-voting. Keep in mind that they've never experienced e-voting before. However, when we ask them how likely is it that you would want to vote via e-voting platform, they're very positive about that. And we suspect that it is because of convenience, but in their mind, they don't really distinguish between e-voting at a polling station as opposed to internet voting.
So the introduction of electronic voting is seen as a move that could potentially boost the declining youth participation in the democratic process. Would you say that there's a high level of enthusiasm for e-voting among the youth?
Look, our survey have found that if you implement e-voting as competitive with other countries, the likelihood of increased participation is quite high. Particularly among youth and those people that have used online platforms. And now the youth we now engage majorly on online platforms. So this may encourage them to vote because it's maybe more efficient. But we need to think about the broader democratic project. If we don't address key issues in the country, many youth are apolitical. So that should go hand in hand. But in a nutshell, the youth are more likely to vote, if it's convenient and if it's quick and fast.
Yeah, quick and fast is important because these are some of the concerns that have been raised by, various other critics who are saying it's all well and good to have this online voting method, but will the technology live up to it? I mean, we know that South Africa's paper-based voting's main advantage is that paper cannot be hacked. What about the thoughts and the measures that need to be placed in terms of potential hacking when it comes to electronic voting?
Look, there's currently, the IC is doing good work. I mean, our surveys have indicated that there's high levels of trust in the IC in performing their work. Even the most recent survey indicate that, the public feel that the IC would be able to implement electronic voting. But however, electronic voting is obviously different, as you noted, because if you vote online, you need to have the technical resources, the technical know-how. You need to have cybersecurity, and all those scarce skills maybe needs to be imported. But I think we also have that domestically. So you need to have that in place. However, I do think we have the capability to do that, bearing in mind that we are distinguishing between, as I said, online voting and e-voting, whereas e-voting may, at the polling station, may be more secure than your online voting. So we need to distinguish between that, but certainly, a lot of measures must be put in place. Also, you need to have a verifiable audit trail. If people vote online, you need to be able to check and balance whether the voting is in fact the same.
You say that, it's important that it's efficient, but we're really trying to touch on the pace, whether it will make a difference that it's electronic as opposed to paper. What are the probabilities there?
I think the probability is quite high that, it will be faster. You will have shorter queues. Obviously the counting process would be circumvent because, the tallies would be immediately available. But I think the ISC has shown that, they've already started, digitization because with the online registration, I mean, there are here and there hiccups, but overall it's quite efficient. And with the new ID in place, I mean, these things will even take a little bit faster. It will certainly be faster at polling stations, but we do need to understand there's also a digital divide. Your rural areas and your people with less education may struggle, for example, to vote through the online platform or e-participation. So we need to also acknowledge that there's large-scale support and resources necessary and training to address those deficiencies.
And what are some of the lessons to draw from the other countries like Estonia, Namibia, the Democratic Republic of Congo, countries which employ different forms of electronic voting?
Look, Estonia is one of the countries that is, in a way, a little bit of an example in terms of online voting. They're doing very well, but their online voting is embedded in their e-governance structure. In other words, the entire system of governance is people are able to access government via online. So that has fostered a culture of online participation. But if you come closer to the Africa continent, Namibia have rolled out e-voting, but they have struggled to have a verifiable audit trail, and therefore they had to stop that particular process. Countries like the DRC, the machines failed, and that impacted on trust in the electorate, and the electorate therefore, had very little confidence, and therefore that process also had to stop. Even countries like Ireland and Germany have stopped, in this process. But I mean, there are countries such as India and Brazil that have showed that, large numbers of populations. And if you compare India, there are also sectors in the Indian population which is not literate. So they have really remarkably reduced the number of days of the voting process in terms of their e-voting machines. So there are positives as well.
Absolutely. Thank you so much. Thanks for weighing in on the discussion there. Expanding the conversation, Research Director in the HSRC's Developmental, Capable and Ethical State Research Division, Dr. Yul Derek Davids, joining us there.